Hello, everyone, and welcome to this audio podcast. This audio podcast, as part of a Segmental Scruples series or edition, this audio podcast as part of a Rampage Sonar, this audio podcast as part of a Blitz Logistics, and this audio podcast as part of a Storm Logistics production. So, this audio podcast will look at, we'll go into sort of the sort of findings around findings in around the literature in around the literature. Four primary issues were quickly sort of recognized. Number one, there were only three papers or publications that explored or investigated RBTs, that's red blood cell transfusion, and considered renal insufficiency before 1978. And Secondly, whilst the literature managing anemia in the chronically ill or untransfusible patient or recipients after 1978 has had increased, there have not been sort of formal plans to safeguard RBT, red blood cell transfusions, RBTs in different patient populations in the longer term. At the same time, the number three, the alternatives and indications for RBTs or red blood cell transfusions in patients with long-standing conditions or chronic illnesses are still somewhat inconsistent or not transparent universally, and this can make practices difficult to standardize. And number four, there is limited emphasis on the importance of research in leadership and management to inform best practices. That draws this audio podcast to a close. The subsequent audio podcast will go into the different themes, so that draws this audio podcast to a close. This audio podcast as part of a Segmental Scruples series and or edition. This audio podcast as part of a Rampage Sonar. This audio podcast as a Blitz Logistics, and this audio podcast as part of a Storm Logistics production.